everyone, and welcome once again to the whimsical and topsy-turvy comic book vault. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Jason, and I'm Rock Raccoon.
Is that what Rock Raccoon sounds like?
Uh-huh.
It's weird, he sounds strangely like you. Yeah. Well, it's time for rapid-fire comic reviews. We've got a number of books from last week for you that we're going to review. A lot more DC than Marvel for my list this week for some reason, but do have a little bit of Marvel stuff. Do have from at least one other company. And sorry I didn't get reviews out for you last week. Been a really crazy last couple weeks for me, but finally getting back into the swing of some stuff and getting back into rapid-fire comic reviews. I want to say thanks as always to Elite Comics in Overland Park, Kansas for helping me out with the show. And if you're ever in the Kansas City area, be sure to check out Elite Comics. They are absolutely fantastic. Jason really likes going there. Do you like going there?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, what do you like to look at when you go to Elite Comics?
Look at...
Yeah. Do you like the statues?
Yeah, I like to look at kids' comics.
You look at kids' comics?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's jump straight into it, shall we? You gonna help me out, Jason?
Uh-huh.
All right, let's jump into our good jumping on points and number ones for this week. Not a whole bunch of them. It was really kind of a small week this last week, but we begin with...
The Superior Spider-Man.
Superior Spider-Man number 32. This is the fun, cutesy variant edition, and this is the kind of prelude to Spider-Verse. Now, this feels like the beginning of Spider-Verse. It really doesn't feel like such a setup. It really kind of feels like the very beginning of it. So I would really recommend this for people that are interested in Spider-Verse and want to see the really kooky nutso thing that Dan Slott is doing with bringing allegedly every Spider-Man ever together. Of course, we know that's not true. There's a couple of things that they wouldn't let him do, including what I thought was this hilarious joke he had. He wanted to bring in a Spider-Man from a Cars-like universe, where it was like a spider car, and his real name was going to be Peter Parked Car, and that was going too far for Marvel. I really wish he'd gotten to do that. I think that's hilarious. Anyway, so we're getting Spider-Verse starting next month, and this is the jump into it, and what we have is what we've got is Doc Ock Spidey going into the world of 2099, which is really kind of fun. And if you know your 2099, there are a whole lot of references to things. In fact, I'm really glad that I recently went back and read a bunch of 2099 for some videos we've been doing, because I would not have known what in the world I was looking at for some of that. And I wonder if that is going to be a difficult thing for people. Of course, it's not that big of a deal, because he basically goes there in order to realize that somebody is going to different dimensions trying to kill everybody in a Spider-Man costume, and it's pretty much just a catalyst to get things rolling. But it is really fun to see Ock Spidey there for a little while, and I really enjoyed that, and I thought that Dan Slott actually did a really good job of capturing that world and giving everybody the right kind of voice, and I felt like there wasn't too much of laying it on thick of the different vernacular and stuff. I mean, it's all there, but it felt a lot more like Peter David to me than the 2099 stuff he's done before, so I was kind of impressed with it. So yeah, if you're a 2099 collector and reader, you definitely should pick this up. But anyway, so the premise is simple. It's Doc Ock Spidey after Peter Parker got his body back, somehow or rather manifests in still a Peter Parker body. I'm a little confused about how all of that is working. I mean, like, he gets thrown into another dimension. I thought the whole idea was that Doc Ock's consciousness was gone and Peter Parker got the body back. I mean, I read that last issue and I thought that's what happened, but now somehow he's still in Peter Parker's body in the 2099 future, and then ends up jumping into other universes and starts trying to pull together an army of Spider-Men in order to combat this threat. And it's fun. It's obviously it's really quirky and crazy, but so far I'm actually really kind of enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to more of it. Next up, we go to a new series by Adam McGovern and art by Paoli Leonori from Image called Night World, and this is kind of a trip. This is a really fanciful kind of like horror-ish story. It's not horror. It's kind of like quirky and surreal, but with kind of all the haunting horror trappings. It looks a lot to me like kind of I don't know, it's very Dark Horse, really, which is weird because it's published by Image, but it feels a lot like some of their kind of strange and out there horror stuff, but maybe also like early horror pulps and things like that. I'm reminded a lot of like Jack Kirby stuff and things like that. There's a lot of Doctor Strange type imagery in this, and I think kind of the whole thing feels like kind of a throwback to that sort of thing. And so you have this character who is basically a hellspawn. He makes a deal with the devil in order to save the soul of his true love, and he seems to be able to manifest in different sorts of ways. The thing that really got me about this was the language. A lot of just really interesting and strange ways of putting words together. Everybody talks in this really kind of heightened language and this really kind of old world, old-fashioned kind of language. I don't think it's my thing. I don't know that I would continue with it. I'm going to recommend it to people that are really into occult stuff and that sort of thing and just want a really good escapist, trippy kind of comic book. This is definitely that. Let's go ahead now and jump into some DC stuff, and very quickly, what do we got, Jason?
Batman Detective.
This is Detective number 34. Once again, on Superhero Enthusiast recommendation, I started reading this, and it jumped right in at the tail end of an arc. And so this is the last issue of this arc, and I don't have a whole bunch to say about it, except that still I'm really grabbed by the dark, gritty detective feel of this. It's really nice to see Detective Comics being an actual detective comic again. I really like all the stuff with Batman and Harvey Bullock. It feels very animated series to me, and there's a what this issue, by the way, this is by Francis Manapul with art by Brian Buccellato. I'm sorry, art by wait, is that yes, that's who the artist is. I really, one of the things I find really interesting about this issue is all of this talk, and I kind of hope that it continues with it even past this arc, because it seems to just be kind of setting up this idea and not really finishing it. Like it seems like this whole arc was headed toward this notion of the bad parts of Batman, the price you have to pay in order to have Batman around, and Harvey Bullock kind of makes a good point when he says that he wants to show Batman up, that he thinks that Batman makes the police look bad, and he thinks it's very important for the police to do their jobs right and to to show Batman up. And I thought all that was really interesting. I love all the colors in this book. There's a lot of really interesting choices in pinks and purples and in oranges. And it gives it this this really kind of haunting sort of atmosphere. Batman puts on a big kind of robot suit in this. It's really reminiscent of The Dark Knight Returns, and it kind of gives it a little bit more of the kind of heightened comic book feel, and it helps to lighten up the mood a little bit, because it is a really, really dark comic. And I mean, it probably sounds funny because, of course, Dark Knight Returns is a really dark comic too, but I don't know, this thing has just been so heavy. It was kind of fun to throw in something a little bit sillier in the midst of it, and I think it worked really well. I'm really recommending these, and I kind of want to go back and read the rest of this arc. The rest of Batman doesn't feel like this right now. This is a different kind of flavor, and it's really back to kind of late 90s Batman. So, or even, I don't know, maybe even more like late 80s Batman. Okay, next up, what we've got is, go ahead, Jason.
Superman, Wonder Woman.
So we got Superman, Wonder Woman, and then we got
Superman
Action Comics. Okay, so we got 3 issues again from the Doomed event all in the same week. So if you're reading Doomed, you spent like what? $14 this week on Superman comics. Either there's no organization happening, or they did this on purpose, and I don't know why. But what we've got here is we've got Action. Well, this is actually the third part of it. So we have Superman, Wonder Woman, the annual for this year, and then we have Action number 3. I'm sorry, the Action annual. See, that's what's so weird too, is the 2 of these are annuals. So we've got the Superman, Wonder Woman annual, we got the Action annual, and then we have Action 34. So not only did 3 books from this arc, from this big event come out this week, but we also ended up with the Action annual the same week as an Action issue. that shouldn't happen. I think that's really strange, and I just kind of wonder if that doesn't hurt them a little bit in sales, where it's like, well, I was gonna buy these this week, but I need to read everything from Doomed, and I don't want to drop $14 on these 3 books this week. I wonder if that happens with anybody. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe nobody cares. Maybe everybody goes, nah, Doomed, I'm gonna read that because it's Doomsday and it's awesome. Well, it's fun. I'm not gonna say it's awesome. The thing with Doomed is I think it's really stretched out. Like, the more I've been reading of it, the more I think that it is pretending to be a lot more of a character-driven story than it is. I've said this before, but there has been way too much of this, like, internalization of Doomsday, you know, Superman becoming Doomsday, that Doomsday is somehow, like, representative of Superman's dark side or something, and it really is just a possession story, and there is, I don't know, I think, especially with these, and I'm just gonna lump these together and talk about them together because it's, you know, it's all part of the same story. I feel like the internal monologue of Superman is all over the place, that in order to try to heighten up the drama, he will just randomly start worrying about whatever Pack or Soul suddenly wants him to worry about, and then, like, we kind of just move on to something else. So, like, toward the end of this stuff, there's a part where Superman having finally somehow, and I won't give away how, kind of gotten rid of Doomsday. And that's the other thing too, is that we're still in the middle of the Doomdark, and we seem to have already written Doomsday out of the story. But anyway, so he's gotten rid of Doomsday, and he's trying to save the planet, and there's a really good chance he's going to fail or make it worse. And he's all, who the hell am I? And, to try to do this. And I just felt like that came a little bit out of nowhere. I don't know, maybe if I read the whole thing all together, I would see more of the progression of how we got to that place. Maybe, I don't know, like, the more I'm thinking about it, maybe it makes sense. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's, like, because he, had to kill Doomsday and then started to become Doomsday, he feels that he's not, like he's questioning himself. He's worried that he's not worthy of trying to save the Earth because he already almost made it worse. So I don't know, maybe it makes sense, but just reading it, I didn't really see the progression there. The things that I'm a little bit disappointed with right now is just that it's turned into another Brainiac story, and I guess it makes enough sense, kind of, that it's not just a Doomsday story, that it's a Brainiac story. I mean, I guess, Doomsday being just kind of a big brutish force, and kind of coming out of nowhere through the Phantom Zone, you need some kind of an explanation as to why that happened, so some kind of a master plot, I guess, makes sense. But I guess I'm just kind of sick of Brainiac in 52. I mean, like, maybe we haven't had him as much as it seems in my brain we have, but I don't know, just the few Superman stories I've read for 52, I feel like I see Brainiac a lot. But anyway, so, but then this acts like Superman's really only faced off against him a couple times so far, so maybe it's just me, maybe it's just because of some of the different things I've been reading, but anyway, so, part of the reason we got Brainiac here, of course, was in order to get as many of the characters that were involved in Death of Superman into the story as possible, and because the Zor-El Cyborg Superman works for Brainiac, it made sense to bring Brainiac into the story if we wanted to get Cyborg Superman in here. I still don't know why in the world Brainiac made him Cyborg Superman, made him look like a cyborg, or made him look like Superman. But anyway, the one thing I really do like about this is getting in this kind of cool parallel thing of Lois Lane having to deal with exactly the same thing that Superman's dealing with at the same time, where Brainiac also possesses her, and I think that's a really cool idea. I also like that we haven't seen Brainiac himself at all in this, so he's looming, he's there, but he's been using Lois and working through her. I think that's all really kind of cool. It's a really great spectacle. There's a lot of really good action, there's a lot of really good fighting, and it's silly and over the top, and if you like that kind of Superman, it's great for that. I just wish that it would quit pretending like it's as serious as it thinks it is, because it's not. It's really goofy, and I feel like there's a difference between the narrative trying to tell you it's serious and the characters involved playing it straight, and I think this is doing a bit more of the former. So I don't know. I'm still liking it, especially for the big crazy silly stuff. It's enjoyable. It's a good crazy event. And we got Batman and we got Lex Luthor in here now, and it's gotten bigger. And that's all fun. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of been drawn out and gone on a little too long, and I wish a story called Doomed still had Doomsday in it. But maybe maybe he'll pop back in. Maybe something else will happen that will bring him back in at the end. So I want to reserve judgment on it till I finished it. As I said, I don't want to say I'm not enjoying it. And for me, it's kind of fun to get to read 3 issues of something all in the same week, even though I think that's really strange that they put it out like that. As I've said before, just because I've got 3 issues that aren't all separate, and you know, I can remember more of what happened month to month that way. So anyway, all right, next up, what do we got, Jason?
Grayson.
Grayson number 2, decided to go ahead and try this again because I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed the first issue, and it's good. I don't know if I'm gonna stay with it, but I want to recommend it to people that really like spy stuff. I think it has a really good kind of 007 sort of feel. It's really like all of the secrecy and subterfuge and all that stuff is fun. It's definitely got that kind of sense of urgency about it. It's definitely I don't know if I want to say it's a page turner because it's very dialogue driven. There's a lot of dialogue in it, but it's well paced. And it, I don't know, it's exciting. I think ultimately it's a good book. One thing I'm really appreciating right out the gate is that Batman is occasionally talking to Dick Grayson. He knows Dick is alive. I don't know if we had confirmed that Batman was sure that he was alive, but they do occasionally have conversations to each other over secure radio. And I really enjoyed those conversations and getting this very kind of heartfelt relationship between them, and they're trying to continue to keep that up. And I liked all of that. And I really liked the new Helena Bertinelli. I'm glad that we brought her in. I'm glad. I said last time I couldn't figure out whether or not it was Earth 2 Huntress or not, and somebody pointed out, well, it's Bertinelli. It's not. It's not Helena Wayne or whatever. And I was like, oh yes, of course. I'm an idiot. So anyway, so it is the Earth 52 or whatever version of her, and that's and that's cool. And she seems a lot like she always did before. She's really confident, really spunky, well, but also kind of no nonsense. Like she really knows what she's doing and doesn't take any guff from anybody. And I really like her characterization. So yeah, I'm definitely recommending this for folks who like spy thrillers. Again, it's not entirely my bag because I'm just not a big spy guy, but it's a cool new flavor for this character, and I get the sense from it that it's not going to go forever. That he's going to be Grayson. You know, he's going to be out of costume for a little while, and then he'll go right back to being Nightwing. So for folks that don't want this and want him to be Nightwing again, I wouldn't worry. I mean, this might last a year or two, but I think it'll be kind of like Doc Ock and Spider-Man, where it's not going to go forever. It's kind of an interlude thing. It's kind of, this is what he's doing right now. I really kind of liked it. Jason? All right, so what? Second to last DC book for this week. Like I said, lots of DC this week. Batman Eternal number 18. Once again, still really back and forth on this series. The dialogue is still kind of wiggy and wonky in places. I liked this one better than last issue. So we've got Batman and Jason Bard, the cop that's kind of sort of taken over for Gordon, that we thought was really trustworthy and turns out to be crossing lines that Batman wouldn't even cross. And he and Jason are having to work with, Killer Croc down in the sewers. And I really am more and more kind of liking 52 Croc. He is a horse of a different color from what he was before, but it's interesting. It's not just, I don't feel like with some of these 52 new characters that it's just change for the sake of change, or like let's make them a super genius for no good reason. Killer Croc is somewhere in between that. He is smarter than we've seen him before, and he's more of a leader type. But it's kind of making sense for this. I'm really liking that he's trying to kind of be a leader of the underground. And 52, for some reason, has been doing a lot of like sewer stuff like that, where you've got a lot of power struggles and people vying for the right to lead all of the riffraff from underneath the city, and I'm finding some of that stuff being kind of interesting, even though, as I've said a lot of times, I don't like Joker's daughter, and she's always involved in that kind of stuff. Seeing them having to deal with Croc is definitely an interesting dynamic. I'm not sure why Batman is so readily working with Jason Bard, because he clearly doesn't agree with his methods. That's not talked about at all in this issue, and I sort of wondered about that. We've got Batgirl, Batwoman, and Red Hood all working together. I like all the discussion about how Batwoman isn't really part of the Bat family, and how she doesn't have the kind of sentimentality about all of that the others do. And there's also some discussion about how different Batgirl is because of what led her to be a superhero, and how it's different from Batman and Dick Grayson and really pretty much everybody in the Bat family, that she fights for someone with Jim Gordon and not because someone died. I still think that this book has been really melodramatic in handling her, that she's not able to have a level head at all whatsoever with Jim Gordon being in prison. I'm still really resisting that, but it's making I guess a little bit of a better case for it here in this notion of she fights for something and not, or for someone living and not for someone that's dead, and how would it change her if she became part of that club. And I think that's cool and interesting, and I hadn't thought about it like that before, so I appreciated this for making me think about that. But at the same time, she's still a little bit out of character in just how much of a hothead she's been, and then I don't understand the last panel, what she's doing at the end of this. More of her just being nuts and hot-headed and I'm gonna go crazy. So we'll see what that's about. I hope it's not one of the things that we've had with this issue, with this series before, where we get this cliffhanger and then it doesn't even really pay off in the next issue, because I want to know what that's about. I did not get what in the world was happening there, or why. Alright, next up, this is the last issue for DC this week, and it is
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow number 34. I loved this issue. Loved it. This is, of course, Jeff Lemire with art by Andrea Sorrentino, and this is just kind of vintage Green Arrow stuff. He's really coming into his own and finally more at the level of the Green Arrow that we all know and love, and where he is basically, this one is all about, this is the end of this arc, and it's all about when Green Arrow had to run off and fight the Outsiders. He left his city at the mercy of other supervillains, and he couldn't really help it. He kind of had to go do all of that. It was important, and he blames himself a little bit, but then he also recognizes, but if I hadn't gone and fought the Outsiders, I wouldn't have rescued Kamiko. She wouldn't be working with me now. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have stopped all the horrible things that were going on. That was, and also he had to go through all that in order to learn about his origins, and all of that needed to happen. He needed to know that his dad was still alive. He needed to find out about Kamiko. He needed to know all of that stuff. But at the same time, he has responsibilities, and everything since Lemire took over has been all about Oliver Queen learning about his responsibilities and figuring out who he's supposed to be and why and where he's going to go with his future, and he seems really confident and really got things figured out at the end of this. I have finally come around on this version of Diggle. It's not that I didn't like him before, but this whole notion of this like old friend that he used to work with, like there's this big long history of Green Arrow. I was resisting a little bit because he's so young, and this seemed like it was supposed to be kind of the first, the early hurrah for Green Arrow. That Lemire coming in and kind of making it a little bit more of a later story, which seems to be, I don't know, I just resisted all that for a minute, because it seemed to be, well, everybody loves longbow hunters and everybody likes an older Green Arrow, so we're going to do that sort of a story even though he's really young. He's won me over on it now. Where he's at in this, I feel like that was really smart. I felt like it was kind of necessary, and I found Diggle really interesting in what he's dealing with Richard Dragon. And Richard Dragon wants revenge. He says it's more than revenge, but he wants revenge because Green Arrow, if memory serves, killed his son or hurt him in some way, and he finds out that it wasn't the real Green Arrow, it was Diggle wearing a Green Arrow costume. This is something I wish Arrow would do, by the way. I think it'd be really cool if there was a period where Oliver Queen had to go do something and Diggle actually put the suit on. That was a really cool thing in this. But anyway, still really, really great, gritty urban atmosphere. Loving all of that stuff. I really like the mood this book puts me in when I'm reading it. And as always, I highly, highly recommend people read this. I think the next arc would be a really good place to jump on. I don't know. I haven't looked this up. I don't know if Lemire is doing one more arc or if the new team is taking over after this, because some of the producers of Arrow are writing after this, and I'm really interested to see where that goes. Was not something I was really excited about when I first heard about it. The more I've read about it, it seems like Lemire wanted to leave anyway, and that's just who they picked. So the fact that he apparently wasn't forced out makes me a lot more okay with it. So anyway, we'll see what that's all about. But anyway, whoever is writing next arc, he is really back to a pretty steady, solid status quo, and I'd say it's a good time to jump on. But really, go back and read the Lemire stuff from, I want to say it's 17 onward. But you just go back and find those trades because, yeah, really nice, really good stuff. Okay, let's go on to a couple of Marvel things before we do our little categories at the end. And what do we got first, Jason?
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight number 6, Moon Knight. Ooh. So, Moon Knight. This book is always is impressing me, and we've got another one-and-done story that's a really quick read, not a whole bunch of words. It's always like that. It's still really great, gritty atmosphere, really kind of surprising story choices, and just a really crisp, quick, solid read. What happens in this issue is we've got a cop who is jealous of Moon Knight for doing the police's job for them. We've got that a little bit in common with Detective Comics this week with Harvey Bullock. And what happens with this guy is he wants to prove that Moon Knight should not be doing the job, that he's nuts and that he's causing more harm than good, and but it's more of a personal thing. This guy hasn't been allowed to go as far in the police force as he wants to. He wants his detective shield. He feels like he's going to be a lowly officer forever, and that he's kind of just it's analogous to he's a public servant, but he's just picking up trash. He's not really getting to do what he feels like should be his job, and so he's going after Moon Knight and is trying to turn people against him. And wants to hurt him, and so this is basically that guy, and he takes up an old mantle of an old Moon Knight adversary and goes up against Moon Knight, and then craziness ensues, and Moon Knight proves why he gets to do what he gets to do, and why the police are working with him. Really solid, really great as always. Next up.
Legendary Star.
Legendary Star-Lord number 2. This is by Sam Humphries with art by Paco Medina. Still really enjoying this. I still sort of feel like this is a story that could maybe just be told in the Guardians of the Galaxy book, but it's winning me over a little bit more in having Star-Lord have his own series as I'm reading this. I enjoyed this quite a bit. This is, you know, as Guardians always is, it's quirky, it's silly, it's crazy. There's a creature that is also a moon, things like that, just to give you a sense of the level of wackiness that we've got here, but this has been kind of a character study of Star-Lord and what his sensibilities and moral code is in comparison with a sister that he didn't know he had, and he's learning about her and trying to figure out whether or not they are in any way whatsoever loyal to each other. And then there's kind of a neat twist toward the end about that I really enjoyed. I don't have a ton to say about this. The art is okay. It's not I don't know, it's not brilliant or anything, but it's working okay for this book. I don't know. I'm not sure what else to say about it. I guess, you know, if you didn't read the first issue, I would recommend these, especially if you really liked the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It's definitely in that vein and that kind of flavor, and Star-Lord has that kind of voice. So yeah, that's about all I've got to say about it. Now we're gonna go on to some other categories, and first of all, we have the Jason pick. Jason, what book did you pick this week?
Rocket Raccoon.
Rocket Raccoon number 2. Rocket Raccoon.
Mhm.
Yeah, Rocket. Did you read Rocket Raccoon?
Not yet.
Oh man, are you going to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see it for just a second, okay? This is by Scotty Young, who's, of course, writing and drawing. And Scotty Young has such a great voice for this character. He has such a really hilarious sensibilities. He goes nuts. He goes to town. This has turned into a really silly, over-the-top, insane cartoon with a little bit of blood and gore. I'm getting, and in fact, Jason, I'm not gonna let you look at every page of this. I'm getting to where I'm like, oh, so this is for adults. And last time I kind of compared it a little bit to Lobo. That was a little bit analogous to that kind of read, and it really is sort of that. Maybe even a little bit more in the vein of Howard the Duck, except you know, more, I guess, more coherent storytelling than maybe some of that was. I've not read a whole lot of Howard the Duck, but this is more superhero type stuff. But anyway, so, well, sort of. I mean, this is more, no, it's not really superhero, of course. You know, Rocket Raccoon, he's getting arrested and things. It's more like Lobo. Anyway, so, Rocket is trying to figure out who this other raccoon is who has framed him, and in the meantime he goes to jail, and sort of like in the movie he's got to try to figure out a way out, but the way he gets out is very different and really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's like I said, it's crazy, it's nuts, it's insanely over the top. If you want something that feels a little bit like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or a Doctor Who or something, but with a bit more of a bite to it, Rocket Raccoon's your book. All right, next up we've got
Black Widow.
Okay, Black Widow number 9. This is my blind grab for the week. Yeah, I just kind of on a whim grabbed Black Widow, and I don't know why I'm doing so much spy stuff right now, because as I've always said, I'm not a big giant spy person, but I guess a lot of that's just really in right now, and this was a book I hadn't read yet, so I grabbed number 9. This does seem to be kind of in the middle of the story arc, so I was slightly lost. I didn't have a hard time figuring out the events of what was going on in this, but it did feel kind of right in the middle of stuff, so it didn't really feel like it had any kind of resolution, really, or even much of a solid beginning, so it really is kind of right in the middle of stuff. I mean, like, I don't know, it's kind of... See, I'm not sure if it's one and done or not. I just felt very much like there was stuff informing this that I hadn't read. That's all I'm saying. Punisher is in this, and his dynamic with Black Widow is good and kind of interesting. I wasn't sure ultimately what exactly the point was of bringing him in, just the way that he's kind of written out. He's in for a few pages, and Black Widow's trying to get information from him, and then he's just kind of gone. So I would assume he's going to pop back in, and that's why I'm saying I don't feel like this is really done. But anyway, so really good sense of urgency to this. It's very thrilling. It feels like really good traditional espionage stuff, and I like the art for this material. It's very simple. It feels a little bit like some of the Max stuff I've read. So there's not a whole lot to it. It's pretty sketchy, but it works really well with this. And one of the things that really gives us that sense of urgency is that there's a countdown clock going all the way through it, and you're so it feels like you're reading in real time, and I thought that was incredibly effective. I was impressed with this overall. I would definitely recommend it. I don't know if I would recommend jumping on right here, because I'm just not sure how much other things inform this. Anyway, lastly, I'm going to talk about, as I always do, some back issue, in this case two, because this is just a little two-part thing, so I read both. These are back issues from the long box at the comic book store. This is from the year 2000, another DC thing. So much DC this week, I thought I'd bring you some more DC. And Jason, what do we do? What are we doing this time?
2 lessons of the DC.
Yeah, Legends of the DC Universe. So, this is Legends of the DC Universe 2627. This is Aquaman and the Joker. I was kind of curious about this. I was going through the long boxes. I found this. Legends of the DC Universe did a lot of little 2 and 3 parters of kind of putting together unlikely characters, and I was like, oh, Aquaman and the Joker, that's really interesting. And then I was also kind of interested because it was Steve Englehart, and I was wondering what his writing was like in 2000. And the answer is, weird and not great. I was not in love with this. I thought the art was really cool. I like this very classic Joker kind of style. He's really lanky. He's got that really long, really disturbing face. He reminded me of what the Joker looked like a lot when I was a kid. It's a very 80s kind of Joker, which makes a lot of sense because it's Englehart writing. And the artist on this is Trevor Von Eden, and he fits really well with those sensibilities. I also like how Batman, when he's here, he's only in the second part, and we don't see him for very long, but when he's here, his face is always obscured. You can never see his mouth, and I thought that was really cool, really mysterious. But it's bizarre. I don't like Aquaman in this because he's an idiot, and it seems like Englehart has to dumb down everybody to make this premise work, and the premise is really strange. Basically, the idea is the Joker accidentally winds up in Atlantis somehow and convinces everyone in Atlantis that he is the king of the surface world, like all of it. Now, I know they don't get out very much, but it seems like at least one of them, especially Arthur Curry, ought to be able to take one look at the Joker and see that he's absolutely crazy and insane, and at least go confirm what he's saying before they just start buying into it. But no, Aquaman and everybody buys into this ridiculous notion of the Joker is the king of all of the Earth that's not underwater. And what's worse is that Aquaman trusts him just because of what he says, and isn't keen enough to be able to tell that he's crazy and lying, and also apparently doesn't notice, nobody seems to notice all of the times that he's saying really strange, disturbing, horrifying things, and talking about all the people he wants to kill, and he'll say anything, and yet is able to manipulate all these people. The Joker is not a master manipulator. You take one look at the Joker and you go, I would not trust that guy at all. The Joker is a character, and I know there's lots of permeations of it, but especially this one, I mean, I'm reading his dialogue, and I'm going, well, this is the Joker that anybody who listens to and does what he says, they do because they're scared of him. They do because he's going to kill them. That's not this. This book is acting like he's a master manipulator on the level of Lex Luthor, where he's like sowing all this discord in the kingdom, to the point where where not only does Arthur Curry let Joker hang around like he is a guest king from some other province or something, but they also end up forcing Arthur out just because of a few things the Joker says to make them question his kingship. And I'm like, no, that's really silly. These kinds of stories are the reasons that people didn't used to take Aquaman seriously. I don't know what Englehart was thinking. He seemed really out to lunch on this. Some of it's kind of entertaining, but it's bad stuff crazy. It's, yeah, I mean, Aquaman's just a complete moron in this. So anyway, that's, I don't know, that's this story. It was really strange. But anyway, I want to thank everybody as always for watching. If you are, once again, ever in the Kansas City area, check out Elite Comics. They're really great. We really appreciate them. So, other stuff coming out. Obviously, I've been, once again, really busy. So I'm going to finally start trying to get a lot more Spawn Year out. I haven't been working on it as much in the last week and a half, because just life stuff has been getting in the way. So I will be mostly concentrating on that for the foreseeable future, working on the movie Midwest in Panels. That, of course, is going to come out in December. And anyway, so I will be getting out some other fun videos for you. We're gonna do some more commentaries. We're gonna be doing, I think, a spoiler podcast on the Ninja Turtles movie, so look forward to that. And in the meantime, thanks as always for watching. I am Cat. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I shouldn't. Hold on. I forgot to do Book of the Week and Cover of the Week, so let me do that before we go. Let's see. Book of the Week. My favorite comic book that I read this week would have to be... It's almost a tie, because as wacky as it is, I really enjoyed this, believe it or not. But I'm going to go for Green Arrow number 14, or 34, excuse me. I was just really impressed with how solidly this ended and how much I enjoyed it. Cover of the week. What do you think, Jason? I'm going to let Jason pick cover of the week this week. Jason, what do you think is the coolest cover this week?
Coolest one?
Give me a second. I'll lay some of these out. What do you think is the best cover this week, Jason? What do you like? What picture do you like the most?
Night World.
Night World. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. That is a neat cover. I'm with you. I'm also going to give, so I'll give Night World the cover of the week because Jason really liked it, and I'm with you. I mean, it's cool. It grabbed my attention, but I'm also going to throw out the Superior Spider-Man variant because that's just a lot of fun, and once again, very eye-catching. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. We sure appreciate it. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Jason, and I'm Walker.
Happy reading.